Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Lou Nanne, and Sid Hartman. Sydney, lots of stuff to talk about between the NHL draft, the upcoming NBA draft, the Twins, the Vikings minicamp. Where do you want to start?
I don't know where you start. The big thing news now, this draft is over. The one thing I can't understand Bettman, and I'm pretty friendly with him.
Talking about the NHL now.
I've been trying to get him to do something PR-wise to publicize these good hockey players, so when the draft comes on, they don't know them as well as the basketball players, but they know.
But they're only 17 years old and live in Canada, Patrick. How do you begin a marketing campaign?
You know, same thing as baseball. They got the same problem as baseball, Sid. Nobody knows who these baseball players are. It's just the nature of the game. Louis knows who they are. The hockey people know who they are. It's just, you know, just because you and I don't do our research, it's not Gary Bettman's fault.
Like, did you know who Dumbo was?
Well, I did, because as Pat says, during the year I'm following what the NHL prospects are doing, and you get up to date on the junior leagues. And Dumbo, by the way, he's played in some of the world championships under 18.
Like, have you seen him play? Have you watched him?
Yeah, I've seen him in the juniors.
What'd you think?
Well, he's really a skilled defenseman. He's got a lot of enthusiasm. He hits. He can rush the puck. He's not that big yet. He's only about 184 pounds, but he plays it big. And he's not afraid. He's very aggressive. In fact, even in a prospect, you don't usually see fights in a prospect game, but he happened to get in a fight with the same guy that was drafted number 2 for the Wild.
Yeah, that's a great story.
So it is a good story.
The first and second pick ended up fighting.
Yeah, and that you know, it's like an all-star game. You don't see fights in a prospect game, but you
Your
did
man
there.
Sather took a local guy. Did you have something to do with that?
No, I had nothing to do with it, and they took a real good player, Brady Shea. My son Marty coached him in the summers for 3 years, so I know that kid quite well.
Well, Sid, you know, his grandpa Stan Shea, the old coach at Bloomington.
Pardon me?
His grandfather's the old football coach, you know.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you know him, Stan Shea. Yeah.
Gopher. He was a gopher.
He's a gopher, yeah.
Oh,
Stan
Shea, that's his
grandfather.
He coached Bloomington for a long time.
Right. That's his grandson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know what that tells you, though?
You took that.
You guys, you know, since the North Stars came here, Louis, you've converted a lot of families into hockey families.
Yeah.
I know.
The Sheas in football. You know, the greatest conversion ever? 1963 state title basketball game was Cloquet and Marshall. It might be the best game ever played. And one of the stars of the Cloquet team was a little guard named Dave Mouse Meisner. He's been on the executive board of Minnesota Hockey for about the last 25 years.
Yeah, I know Dave. Yeah, he has been. You're
He's
right.
a great basketball player. He became a complete puckhead.
I'm going to ask you guys a question. Louis, if you know the answer, don't say it, but you two, do you know who they think is going to be the #1 pick overall next year in the NHL draft?
How do I know?
Of course. The son of Popeye Jones, the former basketball player.
Really?
Yes. Now, don't they say he'll be the #1 or 2 overall?
I think he's going to be #1 for sure. He's a big, strong kid that can really play. Plays defense. No, he plays with the U.S. development team. If he didn't get #1, it'll probably be Nate McKinnon, who, by the way, played in Shattuck, not last year because he went back to the Quebec Junior League to play, but he played in Shattuck for a couple of years, and he's another good player. But I think Jones is going to go #1.
How would you describe your dress today?
It's a modern-day Sid Hartman.
We should mention that Lou Nanne was drafted in the 7th round.
Tell us about that.
Well, I was extremely pleased for him because whenever you get drafted by your hometown, and especially here in Minnesota, if he gets the opportunity, if he works hard and is able to develop and play, if he can ever play in the NHL, it'd be great to play right here. I had no inkling of it. I didn't know anything about it. I do know that a number of times when Fletcher was at his game, he mentioned how he really likes the way Louis played.
I saw you guys one night sitting by each other watching him play.
And Louis, you know, I've got 3 grandsons. They all play differently. Louis more of a physical, checking type player, but he's very fast and he can shoot the puck real hard. So he's going up to British Columbia this year to finish his high school, because it's an offensive league. The offense is really, you get an opportunity to really develop it. That's where Mario Lucia and the Riley boys were last year. In fact, he had 8 Minnesota kids on the team, and he won the Canadian Championship, so it was good.
Is it comparable to the USHL or what?
Yeah, and my other grandson, Vinny's going to be playing in Lincoln, where Louis is also drafted, and so is his younger brother, Tyler. So maybe another year we might have 3 of them there.
What's interesting, though,
Both play in Lincoln?
Yeah.
What's interesting, Patrick, is, you know, Lou and I were talking about this on the way over a little bit. In hockey, you look at like that Matt Reed from Bemidji and Nate Prosser. If you don't get drafted high, you're almost better off not getting drafted and trying to play your way through it in college. It's different than the other leagues.
If you're a free agent coming out of college and you have a great career, you can have a little market. But what the heck, it's still a thrill to get drafted.
How about this Michelson kid? How come he didn't get drafted?
I thought he was going to be drafted. He's got some potential. He's a big, strong kid that can really skate, and he played in Waterloo this year in the junior league. He didn't get a lot of points, and sometimes, you know, scouts get turned off just by points, and it's really tough. We were just talking a moment ago, and Pat says, well, geez, they're 17, and that's right. You got to try and project these kids down the line 5-6 years, and sometimes you get colored by statistics when you shouldn't be. You got to really look at the kid, look at his development, look at the kind of attributes he's got, what might help him be a professional player, and see how you think that's going to project.
Okay, you got two teams, both need the same thing, the Wild and the Timberwolves. They both need a couple veteran, pretty good players. Who's going to do it? Think either one of them do it? Free agents?
Well, we're going to know very shortly, aren't we? Because I know the Wild's going to go hard after Parisi and Suter, and if they ever get them, that would be a 10 strike. And I will tell you this, I really believe the Wild are going to make as good an effort as anybody in the league. And so if Parisi wants to come here, he's going to have reason to come because they're going to pay him well.
Take a break, come back, Sports Show. Stay with us. There it is, locally owned, nationally known. Not that many steps from the ballpark. That is Target Field. And it seems like a long time ago now, but last Monday night, J.D. Hoyts was mentioned prominently when we did there was the service, memorial service for Dark Star. Patrick, you did a great job. That thing came together quite nice with kind of an eclectic group.
Louis, we had to reveal, though, I talked to John Mickelson, who did the photography on Dark's ad, to walking from
Hoyts to the ballpark.
He didn't walk the whole distance. We found out those 94 steps we never see were taken in a vehicle. He didn't really walk it. So I was very. It ruined my faith in humankind.
And I know you're going to be shocked by this, Patrick, but Sidney couldn't put together why you would have a guy that was just a caller on his show, Ron from Golden Valley, as a speaker.
Well, yeah, Ron was the last caller on the show for, what, 8 years or something?
Yes, but sometimes that doesn't compute with me.
Well, the funniest part about it, Dark had it in his will, but Pat, I'll tell you, they set up the food, and there was no vegetables and no fruit. They had chiclets and they had M&Ms, but Dark didn't eat vegetables or fruit, so it wasn't allowed there.
That's right.
What do you think Timberwolves will do? You think they're going to make a trade?
Well, I think they will. It's a pretty good draft, so they'll be a pretty good player even at 18. I think Dave Kahn's on the spot. I think he's got to do something. They got to become more contenders than they were last year, and we'll see what he does. I mean, he got a Gasol would be a good deal, I think, if they got Gasol for the draft choice.
I got to disagree, Sid. I do not want a 32-year-old man making $18 or $19 or $20 million a year. I wouldn't touch him, especially since that's your strongest position. You got Kevin Love and Derek Williams both play power forward.
And that means Derek Williams ain't working out if you don't think much of him.
I didn't know how much money he's making. They won't go for him if you.
No, 2 more years.
Taylor ain't going to go for him.
What were you going to say, Lee?
I agree with Pat. There was no way they're going to get him here, and I don't think they'd want him here.
Well, do you worry about a veteran like that that's he's been in L.A.? Is this a letdown if he ends up here?
You have to remember he's 32 now. People start thinking your prime is really 29 to 32. If you go back and check statistics, I know even in hockey, the prime years are like 23 to 27. He's a long past that, and that's why LA was trying to trade him off before, and they thought they had the deal done.
Patrick, what do you think the buzz is for the Timberwolves right now? You think the conventional wisdom amongst fans is Rubio and Love, and they're excited about it?
Well, I think they're more excited than they were a year ago because they found out Rubio could play. Now, whether he recovers from the knee injury or not, but he's a charming kid. I'll tell you, they showed him on the screen at Target Field during the last homestand, and he got the biggest cheer of the week there. Everybody, he's just a He just got a lot of personality. He's kind of an agitator and a funny kid. And then he's got his brother sitting there trying to bask in his glory. It's, you know, but, they're in better shape with the fans than they've been since probably 2005. So
That's what I would think. What do you think?
I agree with him. I think if they get him some help, they have to get him some help they probably need a good center or a good power forward or somebody to help them. And the point guard, everybody talks they need a shooting point guard. I think the kid that plays point guard for him is pretty darn good. He's a real competitor.
You mean Berea and Ridnour, or which ones?
Pardon me?
Berea and Ridnour?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody talking about needing a point guard. Everybody's talking about needing a two-guard, shooting guard. And what they really need is Derek Williams to go home and lose 15 pounds and come back and be able to play small forward so they can play Williams, Love, and Pekovic up front. That's what they really need. They need Derek Williams to do what Kevin Love did last summer and get himself in fabulous playing condition and come back and be quick enough to guard somebody playing small forward.
You talk about a #1 draft choice. He sure was a disappointment.
Well, Adelman obviously is concerned about him, and I don't know Adelman well enough to know if he was just sending messages to Williams all year with his quotes, or if he just doesn't think he can play it that well.
Well, everybody thought he was going to be. A lot of people thought he should be #1, and Irving should be #2. And as it turned out, it wasn't even close. Irving, Rookie of the Year, and had a heck of a year.
Yeah, that's right. Take a break, come back. Sports Show, stay with us. Yeah, stop on by. See Bruce Bodine and the whole group. They've got the Porsche, the Auto dealer right next to each other. Liked it so well, we bought our second vehicle out there, and has it been a nice ride? Louis can attest that. He drove in on that thing today.
Pretty darn nice.
Good ride,
That Porsche is something.
Yeah, hey, Patrick, the Twins win today. Willingham. It's kind of interesting when a guy comes in throwing. You don't see. This is what I like about interleague play. The Reds are a pretty good team. They're kind of fun to watch. You don't get to see him unless you watch him up close. I love watching Phillips play second base. I love watching his left-hander come in and try to throw 100 miles an hour.
When you talk about bad trades, Cleveland giving up on Brandon Phillips about 6 years ago. Ooh, man, they basically gave him away. But Willingham, I love the way he hits because Bob Allison lives. He's just the same hitter.
Hot and cold.
Just a dead pull hitter. He'll open up if he wants you to throw him a fastball middle in, and if you do, he's going to swing it. When he hits it, it's going to go out of the park. And he was sitting on that 3-1 heater like nobody in history, and he was wide open like this when the ball was released from that guy's hands, and he hit his bat. But he's, he'll have 2 weeks where he strikes out 20 times, and then he'll turn around and hit home runs. But he's been a great pickup for him.
He's won a lot of games for him.
Yeah, he and Plouffe coming to life kind of saved this team offensively last month.
Okay, they're going to make some trades. What they're going to do?
Well, they can't trade Caps. He's got a bum shoulder. They can't trade,
You're down to Span, right?
They can't trade Bordeaux. There's no market for him.
Lariano's the only one you can trade.
Span and Lariano.
And you want to trade Lariano.
Why would you trade Span? You got a good contract and stuff like that?
That's why it's tradable.
Because you got to have somebody to pitch, Sid. And not only do they have no starting rotation this year, at this moment, they have no projection of a starting rotation for next year.
No, they don't.
They got to get some starters.
Diamond and whoever else right now.
And you trade Span because you have somebody to replace him.
You got to wait for free agency, and this time you got to spend some money.
And they don't on pitchers.
Do you think you can buy a good team?
No. You could buy good players, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to buy a good team. You got to be lucky. It happens every year in every sport. They buy good players, but it always doesn't translate.
Let's back this up a touch. You have said all along you're optimistic about the Wild signing Zach Parise.
Yeah.
Sidney, you have talked to some people. You are not optimistic at all about Parise signing here.
I just bumped into a couple of guys with North Dakota things. Sure. Turned out they were hockey players. And about a week ago in a restaurant downtown, and they played with Parise. And I said, well, do you think Parise will go? Oh, he loves it out east. That's what they said to me.
That's a lot better source than talking to the old man like you do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Did you have this information?
I'll tell you what.
Hang on. Did you?
Your kid, You probably know less what your kid does, and I know less what my kid does. I'm not so sure the old man's a good source.
Okay.
But Louis, you didn't have that information that you bumped into these guys before you kind of went public with them.
Those guys don't know anything about the money's going to be offered, and so that changes. You can, buy the New Yorker and move it here for the money he's going to get. Actually, I think that when push comes to shove, the Wild are going to make as good or better an offer than anybody else, and it's going to be his decision whether he wants to stay around home or not. He does like it out east, but he's not going to get the money in New Jersey that he would get here.
How about the Rangers?
And the Rangers, I talked to Sather. I know what Sather's going to offer him, and it's not going to be as much as they're offering him here. So if he wants to stay in New York, he'll have the chance to stay there, but the contract won't be as much as
You don't
is
need
with the
any
Wild.
more money.
Oh,
I got to
yeah.
ask you a question. Now we're back to the Timberwolves draft. Would you touch Royce White?
Pardon me?
Would you take Royce White if you were the Timberwolves?
No, I wouldn't take him. I'd worry about his past performance. But they do like him. They watch him a lot. Freddie Hoiberg told me they were down there all the time.
I spent a lot of time with Royce over the last few months, or talking to him and whatnot. I would say this, for Royce's sake, I don't know that Minneapolis is the best place. I would like to see him go somewhere else.
That would kind of scare me off. Plus, I guess he's, I don't know, could he defend at small forward? I don't know.
Here's an interesting question. Chris Humphreys put up another double-double. He's a free agent. Now, I don't think Timberwolves will touch him because we talked about before that position. Do you think because of his relationship with Kardashian and whatnot that hurts him?
Not as far as being a basketball player.
Do you think teams shy away because they don't want any baggage?
It wouldn't bother me as a general manager.
If he can play, he can play?
If he can play, he can play. There's a lot of, there's an old saying, you don't have to fall in love with your teammate, but you got to play for him. And you have to remember what you do on the court. When you leave the court, as long as you're not
responsible
and not committing felonies, stuff like that, your love life is your business.
And that gets back to Sid when you were doing the Lakers. That was your
Don't
theory, in
worry
essence, wasn't
about what they are, just so they can play.
it? That's it. That's all you worried about, right?
That's right.
72 days, though. That was an impressive marriage. 72 days before she filed for divorce. That's pretty good.
That's a long time.
Take a break, come back. Stay with us. Here it is, happy hour. Wednesdays from 4 to 7, Saturdays and Sundays from 2 to 7. Happy hour specials, Bar Abilene, 2 for 1, $2 off food item. For more information, visit barabilene.com or find them on Facebook. Yeah, Bar Abilene, that is one great place to go. I got these sent to me. This is Harmon Killebrew's got his golf tournament.
Oh, right
I guess
there.
they're still looking for, the golf tournament is sold out, but they've got a few spots for the banquet. I think you can look it up on the website, but the Killebrew
Root beer.
He's the only guy in town that has something like this, professional player.
I love root beer.
Never heard
His
of it before.
son ran this farm, right?
Cam.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
No,
Cam.
I think
Is the other one?
I'm not sure.
When's the tournament?
It's this week, but they've got a little more room for the banquets, I guess.
Is that for the Miracle Fields?
Yeah,
Other
the
charities?
Killebrew Foundation, whatever it is, and I didn't.
Miracle Foundation, I can say some good things about it. My little grandson plays in that, and I'll tell you what, George Adzik's wife, what a job she does and all that kind of stuff. Unbelievable.
And that, in line with that, you're cheering another event coming up at the end of July for Jablonski, right?
The Wild have given the XL. They're going to have a dinner on the floor for about 600 people. We're going to have a lot of hockey players come in. They're going to sign autographs in the concourse and memorabilia, etc. You can go to jabby.com to get tickets and all the information. I've got Dennis Hull's going to be coming in as the entertainment. He is the funniest guy around.
So I hear.
It's going to be a wonderful
What's the
program
date?
with him. Thursday, July 26th at the XL, and jabby.com will have the information on how you get tickets. So
Is this sort of a program, a self-sustaining thing to help deal with these injuries? Or?
Yeah. When you look at the cost of projected for his lifetime, what it's going to cost to take care of all of the things, it's astronomical, $5-6 million.
Any better?
Yeah, he's getting along a little better. They had him a golf tournament up by Monticello about a week ago, and he was able. They put a club in his hand. He was able to move his hand a bit, and he's making little progress, but everything is encouraging. So we're just hopeful that it continues.
Percy Harvin, what was your take on that?
Percy Harvin's got a contract. I don't blame Percy Harvin
I
for
don't
being
either.
upset. John Sullivan just signed a 5-year contract for $5 million a year. They signed that wide receiver from Cincinnati for $2
Simpson,
million
yeah.
a year. He's making $9.55. He can live on it, but I think the fact that he's so important to this team, you give him the money.
He said it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the
I
money.
would make it incentive-based, Patrick, if it was Percy. I mean, he's a great player, but I'd make sure there are incentives there.
Well, yeah, he's, you know, you could maybe tell him that he officially doesn't have to practice on Wednesdays because he don't like, his attendance on Wednesdays is not real good. In fact, when he showed up for the OTAs and he worked out on Tuesday and didn't work out on Wednesday, I said he's just getting ready for the regular
season.
not practicing on
Sure,
Wednesday.
he was
but-
told, keep your mouth shut, we'll take care of you.
What would you do, Louis? You used to, when Brad Maxwell was out playing somebody, did you redo his contract?
Well, what Sid said is the point. You know, if you're taking a free agent in here and you're paying him a lot of money and you got Harvin here, you got to do something to address it. But what I would try and do is, he's making $950. I said, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you an additional bonus of $1.5 million if you do such and such. Like Patrick said, I used to put a little incentive in there, a reason to be incentivizing these guys, and so it then gets his attention, and also, you know, will get him to the level he should be at if he plays the way he has been playing.
Louis, I'm going to book you in a style show.
But it's,
I got a few more for you.
He's a strange little fella.
He
For a
is.
man, is he a
Complicated.
good football player. It's-
Complicated. And you know what? He's confident enough to know that he's a good football
Oh, yeah.
player and that they need
Let's
him
put
more
it
than
this
he
way.
needs them. We gotta
They
know about
need
it.
him playing at top form if they're going to win a game.
There you have it.